All right, new maps are out, and you have one thing on your mind. Which one of these horrible maps should I veto? Because granted, some of these new maps have traits that won't be so good for you. But there are some good quirks that you can definitely take advantage of, and that's what I got for you today. It's what I would call a robust list of features, gimmicks, and annoying things to look out for so you don't lose to something silly. Okay, so before you go vetoing cheesy maps and hit that ranked button, let's go over some of those so you can make an informed choice. Before getting into it, I want to mention that this video is brought to you by our Crown Club community. People who want to get unstuck in their games become a member to discuss strategy, attend our member-only events, and get some feedback, all while supporting our content. Go to ESChamp.com to get on the inside. Okay, so let's get started. Here we are on Cosmic Saphire. This map has 6.5 bases, the 0.5 being the gold base that's around at the 7 o'clock, and it's about a respectable 37-second rush distance, which is not bad for this map pool. Cosmic Saphire has 4 high ground bases, which, you know what, is pretty good because they're pretty easy defense. You got a couple of choke points here to help protect them, plus this destructible rocks. It's not bad. Once you get past 4 bases, then we start getting a little bit harder in the 5th and the 6th. We got a 5th and the 6th here on the low ground, and we got a lot of options of which to attack you from. A lot of options coming in from different directions, so it's gonna be a little harder to defend your 5th and 6th, but the 4th, not too bad, pretty easy to go for. In the main, we also got 2 Reaper ledges. Got one here, and then one here. So you got your 2 Reaper ledges. They're coming in. Not gonna be easy to stop in that regard. This map has a lot of Overlord pillars, which is good for you Zerg players. Thing is, the Overlord pillars not gonna give you a lot of vision. If you can see here, you can see into the natural, a little bit into the 3rd. Not much else. We have several Overlord pillars spread throughout the map, but you're not going to get a lot of vision into the actual base itself. One thing to point out too is going to be this watchtower, which is going to give you vision of pretty much what's going on, people coming in from the up to your 5th and 6th. Also as the sight blockers, give you an opportunity to hide what's going on inside there. Definitely take a utilize this watchtower when you can. When it comes to the map mobility, you're going to have to find yourself going around a lot, but if you break down the destructible rocks, you can create yourself a nice clear path between you and your opponent's base, especially if you want to get towards the 4th or the 5th. You can just break down the destructible rocks and just create yourself this nice straight path going over high ground and low ground. These high ground and low grounds are going to force a lot of interesting interactions between you and your opponent, good or bad, depending on what side you're on. Cool. Let's talk about this gold base. This gold base here could be a really good advantage. It's a little hard to defend because you're on the low ground and you're going to have to be pushing back into it. Really easy for your opponent to just come in here and force interactions on you. But if you get it up, it could pose to be quite value. The other special base here, we've got a little bit of a high efficiency gas, terrazine gas going on here, even with full minerals. Same problem as the gold base. It's going to be a little harder to defend. So if you have some sneaky plays you want to get going on here, you might be able to utilize it, but overall a little difficult to hold on to. So let's talk about this main base because there's some empty space we've got to be paying attention to. Right back here in the corner, there's a lot of empty space, starting from the natural all the way down to the main. You're going to get a lot of opportunities for harassing units like Banshees or Phoenixes or Oracles just sneaking in there, not to mention transport units and unsuspecting drops that can just fit here in this pocket here. And if you're not careful, you're not paying attention, since there's so much space in the mineral line, you can get these unsuspecting drops coming in, and then by the time you pay attention, just takes out your entire worker count. So, welcome to Data C. We're going to use Rainer and Astrian's game to help us illustrate this map. This map has a respectable 8 bases per player. That is, that's a thick map with a 36-second rush distance. Now, this map has 4 bases which are really easy to secure. So we have to keep an eye out for those very turtley players, because you might find yourself playing a 22-minute game if you're not careful. So let's take a look at the natural. Got a little wider ramp than normal. Like I said, very easy secure. Even though I said that these bases were easy to defend, they do have a blind spot, and it's the empty space around behind here, which are susceptible to air attacks. You can get a lot of kind of units hiding up back there and traveling between your bases, just attacking your mineral line, whether that be harassing flying units or drops. Got to keep an eye out, because there's a lot of space for them to just travel from one base to another, exposing your mineral line. While we're on the subject of air, let's talk about Overlord pillars, or rather these sort of Overlord roadways, as they were. They have a lot of space for which they can move on, but they can only be protected in the very center of each one of these pillars. They're like almost 7 little smaller pillars together, and the Overlord or any air unit is only safe in the center, so be careful while moving. Though there's a lot of them spread all over this map, there is also fake pillars you got to watch out for. These fake pillars look like the other Z pillars, but they are exposed because of their proximity to high ground or vision that can be given. You can be taken out, so don't count on these various ones all over the map to protect your air units that are trying to hide there. Overlords beware. On either side of the map, you're going to have these 2 watchtowers that oversee the high efficiency gas bases. So with it, you can see if your opponent is going to try to take it, or just watch the laneway as they come across the map. Very useful in either situation. I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention our good friends Destructible Rocks. The pathing within this map isn't too bad, but if you want to clear it up, there are 2 sets of Destructible Rocks that can make your pathway between you and your opponent a lot easier. Welcome to Inside Out. All right, so here we are in Inside Out, and we have a game from Solar and Hero Marine to help us navigate this map. This map is on the smaller side. I'm getting flashbacks of Berlingrad. We only have 6 bases per player with 32 rush distance, so we are feeling on the smaller end. You know, you got to watch out for those closer ends. This is on the map, from the map pool side. This is more of a smaller map. With 6 bases, it's not very likely to be very macro heavy. Not to say that you're not going to see macro games, but you know, you got to watch out for maybe some of the all-ins or maybe some cheesier stuff because of the closer rush distance, maybe some proxies. So keep an eye out for something like that. This map is Reaper heavy, friendly, letting them in no matter what you're doing, so don't worry too much about walling off the Reaper ledges, because the Reapers are coming in no matter what you try to do. So you can see it goes pretty much all the way around the base, and Reapers can just have a field day with your defense. One of the things to keep in mind is obviously Overlord pillars. They are all over the map, but you want to be careful because there are deceptive Overlord pillars. These little bad boys here are scattered around. They look like regular pillars, but they're not because of the proximity to the high ground. Don't put your Overlords there. They will not be safe. You gotta find somewhere else to put them. Paths feel very wide when it comes to this map. It feels like you're gonna have to build a lot to block off, to wall off. Even with the destructible rocks here trying to help make it a little bit narrow, it feels like there's a lot of work that you're gonna have to put in to keep your enemies out if you want to wall out. And it's pretty much like that around the different bases. Wide openings, increasing the defense to make it a little harder. Watch the back area of your bases. There is a lot of space between the minerals and the end of the map, but you can get some liberators sneaking in there and doing stuff what they need to do. Now they're a little exposed because they have to come in a little bit because of the how far the minerals are back, but you know, they can sneak in there and hide. So keep an eye out for those kind of actions. I like to end each map off by looking at, let's see, how to wall off, what options we have available. Welcome to Moondance, or I like to call it Nightmares of Beckett. We are here with Moondance, which has the shortest rush distance of 31 seconds in the map pool, being the shortest. And that means you gotta watch out for shenanigans, because that can be anywhere from proxy barracks or, you know, any sort of proxy shenanigans, cannon rushing, you name it. Keep an eye out for it. It also has 9 bases, making it, again, the most in the map pool. So we got 2 records here on Moonbase. We got 9 bases, most, 31 seconds, shortest rush distance. So we got to keep an eye on what can happen here. Zooming into the main, we got ourselves some Reaper ledges. One here. And one over here. We got a little bit of a layered colored to let you know where you can go, just in case you've forgotten. Reaper ledges galore. Don't worry about trying to section those off. Part of the Moondance aesthetics are these beautiful sight blockers that zigzag across the map to help you get to your opponent. Use them if you find them necessary, but know that they're there regardless. They are all over, leading through towards the map. You don't want to miss anything. Keep an eye out. Something that's worth talking about is this pocket base. This base has a lot of versatility to it. You may not use it right away as your natural because it has less minerals, less gas, but you might see it in some greedy plays. One thing to keep an eye out, though, is for people using it for dropping off points, for dropping their units and drops. You may even see people use it for cannon rushing you. Very convenient. Sneak a probe in there and just have it build naturally. And then by the time you pay attention, you got a whole nest of cannon rush waiting for you. But let's say we're talking about non-pocket bases. Your regular thirds and regular fourths have a lot of space for which to fight in, and might be a little bit harder to defend because of these wide openings here. You have some very large ramps coming in to your base. May be very difficult to hold your third/fourth. May not be ideal. So this map could become pretty, I feel like, very wonky, coin flippy, but we'll see. You'll probably see a lot more shenanigans than you'd like. Welcome to Stargazers. This map is wide horizontally and it's kind of quirky in that regard. It has a cute little star in the middle, but not to focus on that too much. I want to bring your attention to this pocket expansion, which has some minerals here stopping you from just going straight on mining it. Now, you may not actually want to go this way, it's up to you, but if you do, you're going to have to mine these minerals first. Each one is about 10, so that's about 4 worker trips to get rid of those minerals completely. There's also an entranceway right here as well, so you got to keep an eye out for someone chipping out of these mineral patches. Are about 40 each, and so you don't want your opponent chipping it away and then suddenly you have banelings going in your back or blink stalkers coming up here. So you may want to keep something like a pylon or an overlord just watching this entrance for anything tricky. So you got your Reaper ledge here. You could wall it off, but there's also another Reaper ledge here, so they might be getting in no matter what you try to do there. It's up to you if you want to keep them from coming at least there and force them to come around. Overlord pillar is far back. You're probably going to get information from the third. So if you want to get information, you're going to have to risk your Overlord bringing it closer to the base to get a chance to see. There are some still scattered throughout the map in key areas, but they're not going to give you the information like the natural or the main base. Keep that in mind when you're scouting Zerg players. Map doodad features. We got ourselves a watchtower, which will pretty much give you vision so you can see if there's going to be any drops, air attack coming from the top. Then we have here the gold base. Now, this gold base is off the beaten path. You may or may not want to get it. Like, you may want to watch out for greedy players trying to take this and hide it because it's so out of the way. So you can keep a sharp eye on checking it often enough. Poke your head in once in a while to make sure no players are just trying to get themselves a secret gold base mining out while you're not looking. The airspace is a bit deceptive. Some airspace looks safe, but they're actually not safe. And then so you have some safe airspace in these smaller corners where you can sneak units in, not very many units, but a small package of units. The minerals are far off from the edge, so they're going to have to come in deep if they want to get something done. But you got these extra spaces just below, where you can just sort of hide out here. A lot of extra space where you can put much more of large units and it's completely safe. Especially by the main, there's just also a similar corner right here where you can put air units without much problem. Welcome to Tropical Sacrifice. This map has a respectable 37-second rush distance. It's not very short at all, so that's good. We're looking off so far, so good. Let's talk about the structure of the map. We got ramp into ramp into ramp. That's going to give you a pretty good defender's advantage. Now, your main has a very large Reaper jump in point. It's not going to really help you very much when it comes to protecting it, so don't try walling it off. Reaper's coming in no matter what you do. You got yourself 7 site blockers around the map. A lot of ways to be juking around to hide around from your opponents. And you got yourself some Overlord pillars. There's actually a lot of them scattered around this map, thankfully. But it also has yourself some fake pillars. Now, these fake pillars are not as obviously a trap as the other maps, but there's still going to be something that you should keep an eye out for. That means you have to still put your overlords in danger because there's none really close to either the main or the natural. So your overlords are going to get maybe picked off if you're not careful. We got 3 bridges, which could be really good for tank play. if your opponent sets up. So one of the things you may want to be mindful of is not letting your opponent get themselves situated on this bridge, because it may not be too fun for you, because they can definitely shoot across these different bridges, which will probably be a bad time for you in the long run. The main base actually has some small amount of space here. You can fit that safe for units, but you'll have to keep moving if you want them to keep them safe. They can bunch up, and that's pretty much the only way they'll survive. So if you try to put a lot of units, it won't work out too well. This base actually has a lot of space, so keep an eye in your main for, you know, drops or surprise niduses, because there is a lot of empty space, especially when you're not looking into the fog of war for just anything just to pop out. Could be good for your SimCity, but bad for the potential attacks coming at you. Welcome to Waterfall. Don't go chasing waterfall. Not that song, obviously. All right, so this map is roughly 32 seconds rush distance. Not too bad. Small map, but aesthetically, it's my favorite. I am a big fan of this. You're not going to be able to wall off this Reaper ledge. It is, so don't even try, because it is too large, and these Reapers are still going to get in no matter what you do. This is not too, like, these maps feel very Reaper friendly, so you're obviously not surprised at this point that these little guys are just coming into your base and we can have it. This map only has 2 high ground pillars, surprisingly enough, only 2. And each one of them are just close enough to the natural to let you see in. You can see what's going on and what's coming in and coming out. See a little bit of the mineral line, but not much else. And then here in the natural, you have this space that looks like it's safe to put air in, but it actually can. It can be hit from the other side. So you actually do not have a very safe space here, but you can still get in here and do some damage, do a little bit of a drop, a little bit of air harass. But whether you can do a lot of damage is this little corner here in the airspace by the main. This space here, see how far back the minerals are from the ledge? You can actually get a liberator in here in that space and do damage to the workers and not get hit. So you got to watch out for some unkillable liberator range damage here. This space here is just far back enough. The minerals are just far back enough, close enough to the edge to make it almost virtually impossible to hit the liberator while it's sieged there. More on the aesthetical side, we got these Waterfalls has these little pathways going along here, which would be pretty friendly to tanks. Feel like you could get a lot of good shots over these bridges and controlling these bridges. But that's how each base is connected, through this little ravine going along here with these little bridges in between. Map feature, we have a high yield gas. We have one on each side of the map. Now, you can probably protect this pretty decently because it's pretty close to the 6th or to one of your expansions here. So not too bad in terms of defense. Your 3rd and your natural are on these little high grounds that kind of come into this little center point, which you can defend from, I think, pretty strongly with range. Whether it's tanks or colossi, you can get a pretty good advantage if you're attacking from both fronts or defending either front. Holding the high ground, you can probably do a lot on defender's advantage from even your natural, having your opponent run up into you. Okay, so that's it. My advice, though, is to practice all these maps. But if you're going to scratch out something, at least you know why you're scratching it out rather than just vetoing because you don't like the name or something. Why don't you tell me though, which one of these maps rubs you the wrong way and why? In the comments, and let's start a discussion. But until next time, good luck, have fun.